Hello, everyone, and welcome to Technology Tuesdays, hosted by Out of the Box Technology. We're excited to bring you these free webinars each and every week, highlighting tips and tricks from in and outside of QuickBooks, what's going on here at Out of the Box Technology, and the services and solutions that we offer, as well as every now and then we bring on a special partner to introduce the solutions that they offer. My name is Jennifer Darachuk, and I will be your moderator today. If you have any questions as Josh is going through the presentation, you can feel free to chat those over to me using the GoToWebinar control panel, and we'll address your questions at the end of the presentation. I have some exciting news for everyone today. If you have not been on social media yet or been to our website, we announced today a merger of Out of the Box Technology and EBS Associates. This is a really exciting time for both companies as we come together to become one of the largest solution providers for QuickBooks support. So congratulations to the whole team here at Out of the Box and EBS for coming together. We're really excited for all that this is going to bring us. If you want to read more about the announcement and what this means for both of our organizations, you can head over to outoftheboxtechnology.com, and it's right there on the front page. So exciting times here. A little bit about Out of the Box Technology. If you haven't joined us before and heard my little spiel here, we are a QuickBooks training, integration, hosting, and support company. We have a staff now well over 45 people, consisting of consultants and bookkeepers and web designers, graphic artists, and IT staff. So we're really excited to bring you a whole array of services and solutions. And today we're focusing on our hosting services. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what this means, I kind of joke it's not hosting a party. It's not cloud, there's a lot of confusion, I guess, around what the hosting services are. And so that's why we decided to bring Josh on. He's our hosting manager to kind of go through exactly what it is that we do when it comes to hosting. So at this time, I'm going to hand things over to you, Josh, and you can take it away.
Hello, everybody. Okay, so I'm just going to show you a few things about our hosting. As far as our hosting solutions, so what our hosting solutions are is, let's say if you wanted to, if you have your QuickBooks file either on your local computer or if you're in a large setting. Hold on, let me just bring up my slideshow real quick. Just give me a second. I apologize.
It's a beautiful sunset view you have for us, Josh. Thank you.
All right, I'm just going to go through it on the screen. I apologize, with my dual screens, it's showing on the other screen. So just to get started.
No
worries.
So
what we're going to talk about is if you wanted to host your QuickBooks file, a lot of people, like I said, it's either on their local computer or you have it on a server in your work environment or whatnot. The advantage of this is what happens is we would work with you, during a remote session to get your QuickBooks files moved over to our servers. And what that means is we'd be handling the maintenance for all those servers. So we'd be handling the Windows updates. We'd be doing the QuickBooks updates behind the scenes after business hours. So you guys can just continue to work. Another nice advantage of that too is you can pretty much work from wherever you want and access your QuickBooks that way, be it on a laptop, a desktop, a tablet, Mac, this or that. As long as you have an internet connection and we're able to configure a remote desktop on that device, then you are able to connect to your QuickBooks if need be. So the first thing that I'm going to go over on these slides is I'm just going to talk about, I guess, the technical details of our hosting. I'll just read over these few slides, and then I'll actually show you what it would be like if you were to log into our environment. Okay. So
Hey,
first,
Josh.
yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. So you're not sharing your screen right now. We're not seeing the slides.
Oh, I apologize.
That's okay. Perfect. Thanks.
Okay. All right. So like I said, we're just going to review a few slides, and then I'll show you what it would be like to log into the hosting environment. All right, hosting services for QuickBooks Desktop and more. You can consider us a boutique for hosting. Most of the clients on our hosting are actual QuickBooks clients as well. So we work with our clients and we try to get them on our servers, and then we help you after you're on our servers as well. So the servers are in the TR Solutions data center in downtown Milwaukee in Wisconsin. What sets us apart from Intuit commercial hosting companies that we host QuickBooks is that we only host for our clientele and not the masses. Therefore, our support staff is more readily available to assist you with our hosting and software needs. Our hosting facility, protecting your most important resource data, is the first priority of out-of-the-box technology hosting. Our servers are racked where the power, cooling, and infrastructure are provided for your organization's needs to keep operating smoothly. The facilities have 24/7 staffing, rigorous security measures, and multiple layers of infrastructure redundancy. They are built to deliver a solid foundation for the success of your business. On the next screen, this is just more technical aspects. I'm not going to read through every single one of them. I'll give you guys some time to just view over them. A lot of these specifications are things that are needed to get certain certifications and things like that for the data center that we have our servers in. Okay. The internet. Out-of-the-box technology hosting provides a 100 megabyte connection for you to access your data. Your connection is only going to be as fast as the internet from your local or remote location. So please, to test your speeds, you go to check out speedtest.net. What that means is we just want to make sure if you're going to be accessing data on our servers, you want to make sure you have a fast enough connection. If it's just a one person, you would, minimum maybe 3, but usually we would, say like at least a 5 to 10 meg download for you to have a good experience or good performance on that. Our servers are racked in the only carrier-neutral data center in Wisconsin with cross-connects from 36 carriers, including AT&T, Norlite, US Signal, Savis, MCI, Cognant, and others. The TSR data center provides co-location, hosting, disaster recovery, remote backup, and managed services solutions in a highly redundant, secured environment. Backup strategy. So a lot of people, they ask, now that our data is on your server, are you going to be handling the backups? What do we have to do? You're still going to be handling, just QuickBooks is always going to be prompting you to create backups. That's just, part of the software. On our servers, though, you can disregard that. We run backups 3 times daily on our servers, and then that data is backed up for up to 2 weeks. So you could go that far back if you needed to restore a file or something like that. Out-of-the-box technology hosting utilizes a 3-layer backup strategy to back up your data. Layer 1, we configure Microsoft Volume Shadow Copy to take snapshots of your data at 7 a.m., noon, and 6 p.m. daily. With Volume Shadow Copy, you can restore your data by right-clicking on your data folders and choosing to restore previous versions. Layer 2, we configure StorageCraft Shadow Protect to take continuous incremental backups of your data every hour from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily. Continuous incremental backups allow us to restore data to the last hour should your data have been corrupted and the volume shadow copies are insufficient to continue operations from. And we've had that happen where a client's file will get corrupt from trying to either add other things or sync with other software, and we'll need to restore that file from either that hour or the night before or whatnot. And that's fairly easy to do, and we're available to do that throughout the day. Layer 3, we can configure StorageCraft Cloud to upload the incremental backups to StorageCraft servers as they are created so that your data is continually offloaded to offsite storage hourly as the images are taken. This ensures that should a catastrophe happen to our servers or the data center, we can give you access to your data based on the last backup loaded. You can always create a QuickBooks backup on our servers as often as you like and simply copy and paste that backup to your local workstation as well. So a lot of people, clients as well, they know that we are backing up their data, but just for peace of mind, they want to have it on their local computer as well. So you're still able to create backups, put them on a thumb drive, move them to your local computer, whatever you'd like to do. Okay, operating requirements. So this is what your computer and your internet need to have in order to work in our environment with our servers. So in order to connect into our servers, you must be running either Windows 7 or Windows 8 on your local computer with at least Internet Explorer 9.0 or Mac OS X Snow Leopard or newer with remote desktop client for Mac. Your internet connection, like we talked about before, from your location should be at least 3 meg download and 1 meg upload speed for 1 to 3 users, and at least 8 meg download by 3 meg upload for 5 or more users. Again, you can check your speeds at speedtest.net to see what your internet speeds are. The other thing that this comes into play with speeds too, even if you are having your users, so example, if you do have 3 users or something at a location and those users are on the internet daily, but they're also utilizing, your internet for your phone system as well, then the 8 is kind of on the slow side and you might want to, have a little higher speed than that. As far as printers go, your printer must be a business quality type printer, no home or photo printers, and must be no older than 3 years old to guarantee functionality with our remote desktop servers. While some older printers will work without issue, we cannot guarantee their functionality with QuickBooks newer interfaces. So the way that with printing goes, and I'll go over this again when we actually log in, but whatever you have selected as your default printer on your local computer is what gets redirected to the hosted desktop. And in some cases, if that does not work, what we'll try doing is if there's an available driver for your printer for the server environment, sometimes we need to install that, and that'll allow the printer to work. All right. And QuickBooks Desktop hosting. We can host any version of QuickBooks Desktop's product for you, whether you are on a single user edition of QuickBooks Pro, a 3-user edition of QuickBooks Premier, or a 5 to 20 user edition of Enterprise. The costs. So as far as costs go, you of course need to own your license of QuickBooks, and we can provide that to you. If you're using a Pro or Premier user, it's going to be $45 a month per user, and then a one-time setup fee of $45 as well. For Enterprise, it would be $65 per user per month, and then a one-time setup fee of $65 as well. There's also a full suite of Office 2016 available to you on the server as well. So you can use Outlook to email out of QuickBooks, use Excel to generate reports and things like that. If you have 5 or more users, depending on what you all need, we can look at volume pricing as well. And if you have third-party software that you use to sync with QuickBooks, we can look at getting that on the server as well. If it works where it doesn't interfere with any other users on the server, we can do that. Otherwise, there's other options where we would set up a virtual machine for yourself. Another nice thing too is as far as per user goes, a lot of people say, well, I have 3 people that use QuickBooks, or I have 2 people that use QuickBooks. Well, the user that you're paying for is you're paying for a Windows profile on our server. So you're paying for a Windows user. So let's say you have 3 people that access QuickBooks, but they don't all need to be in QuickBooks at the same time. In that case, you could save costs and you would just need 1 user and you could share all those users. You would just need to communicate with each other when people are logged in or not logged in to make sure you don't cause any corruption in your file and things like that. I guess what I'll go over now is what it would be like if you were to log into our environment. So if you were to log into our environment, what you would do is you would contact one of us, and we would either do like a business consult originally to find out, what you guys are all trying to do or whatnot. See if you need QuickBooks consulting as well after the hosting. But we would look at your computer setup. We would find out your needs, get a quote sent out to you. Once we would get that quote back, then there's a 24 to 48 hour turnaround time. We would then send a follow-up email to you saying, okay, your users are set up on our servers and we're ready to schedule a remote session with you to get you connected to our servers, make sure your printers work, and to get you familiarized with the environment. So then we schedule that with you, and then what we would just work with you to do a remote session. And then when we are in a remote session, I'll go over what we would be doing. So the first thing to access our remote servers is you need to go to our website, outoftheboxtechnology.com. And then up near the top right, you would go to log in, and you'll choose hosted desktop here. Now, in this, I'm going to be using a test user to log into our server. And then the username is going to be an alphanumeric username based on your account. And we don't use names, just better for security also. So my username in this case is T00122301. And if you had multiple users, depending on your account number, it would go up as 02030405 and so on. And then your password. The password is going to be a randomly 8-character generated password that we send over to you after we work with you. Okay, so I'll log in. Now if I go back to that screen, it's going to say you have been successfully authenticated. And I want to make sure that it says that. That verifies that I know that I've passed the first layer of security and you are authenticated through our routers and you can now access our environment. In order to access our environment, we're going to use Microsoft Remote Desktop, which is already part of the Windows operating system. So what we do is we open this program and then we configure this to allow you to log into our servers. And the servers that you're going to log into, that's dependent too. So on our hosted environment, we have the last 3 years that we provide service for. So if you're on QuickBooks 2017, 2018, or 2019, you could be on our servers. So you don't necessarily, if you're on an older version of QuickBooks, you could still be on our servers. You would just need to upgrade when the life cycle of that version ends. And then we would work with you to upgrade your file as well. In this instance, I'm going to log on to RDP19, which is our QuickBooks Enterprise 19 server. So what I'll do right here, it's rdp19.otbtext.com:3391. And then the domain would be OOTB host, and then I'm putting in backslash, and then T00122301. And then as far as the display goes, if you don't like it to start in full screen, we can customize this for you as far as how big you would like it to be. If you'd like it to be on both screens, to use multiple monitors, you can set that up. local resources, we just always want to make sure the printers are checked. If need be, if you had files or shared drives with certain company information, we could bring that over as well. We just don't suggest doing like the whole C drive or volumes and volumes of information because it decreases the performance of your connection. Okay. So now that I've got the computer name and our username, I'm going to go ahead and connect. And then it's going to prompt me to enter the password. And now it's logging us into the environment. And the environment here is similar to like a Windows 10. It's Windows Server 2016. The way the file structure is set up is rather than a C drive, we have a Q drive. Oh, let me go. So when you do log in, you're going to get a notepad pop up like this. This is just for us to communicate with you if we are going to be doing updates, if QuickBooks is experiencing issues, if Windows is experiencing issues. It's our way to communicate system maintenance with you. So the way the folder structure is set up is you have a Q drive rather than a C drive for QuickBooks. And then within that Q drive, you'll have a company folder for your company. In this case, it's named Test Company. Then on your desktop, we have a shortcut for that company folder. And this is a shared folder. So if you're going to have multiple users, this folder would be viewable to all users. And within this folder, you can do what you want. You can create your own subfolders. You can save other files in here, be it Excel documents, PDF documents, or whatnot. You can do what you want in this folder. If you have documents that you don't want shared, you still have the option to save them to your desktop or to save them to your My Documents and things like that in the environment. Also, we have a full suite, like I said, of Office 2016 available to you as well. So if you wanted to email with Outlook out of QuickBooks, we can help you configure that. Or if you're going to be generating reports or things like that, Excel's installed on there for you as well. Also, once we do give you the password, you have the opportunity if you would want to change your own password, and we walk you through how to do that during our remote session for training. And we pretty much we would do a Control-Alt on our local computer and click on delete, and then we would have the option to change the password with entering the new one, the old one, and then confirm the new one. So if you wanted to have a password that nobody knew, that would be an option as well. All right, so then to open QuickBooks here, you can go QuickBooks and launch QuickBooks. That's asking to update the file. I'm not going to do that right now. So then when you open the QuickBooks, your company file is going to be listed here. And the other thing too is you can have multiple companies. So within our environment, you can have one company, you can have 20 companies. And we can work with you to get those all moved over correctly. And right here is where those companies will be listed, and you could choose what company you wanted to log into. As far as your files go, what we do when we move your files over, so if you were on an older version of QuickBooks, we would upgrade you to the newer version. If you were purchasing the software, that's something that we would work with you on doing. But the process of doing that is we would log into your local computer, and we would open up QuickBooks on your computer if you currently have it, and we would go into that file, and when we would run a rebuild on that file twice. And we're doing that because we don't want to bring any corruption of that file over to the server. And it's also not recommended to bring over just the whole file as a whole. So what we would do is we would run a rebuild on that file twice. After that, we would create a backup of that company file. Then we would copy that company file and we would paste it to our remote environment. So just as an example, you can move files back and forth. So let's say if I wanted to move this company folder or company file, or let's say there was an Excel, we'll create a test notepad. I'll show you how that works. All right, so let's say I created a file in here. All right, so now I have this document here. So what I can do, what you can do in these environments is you can copy and paste back and forth between environments. So I could copy this and go to File Explorer on my local computer and paste it to my desktop if I wanted to. Okay. But what we would do is after we created that backup file on your local computer, we would do a copy and paste, but we would be pasting it up to this environment here. Then once we have that backup in there, what we would do is we would open up QuickBooks and we would restore that backup. And at that time, we would do the upgrade if needed and upgrade your QuickBooks file. And then after we finish the upgrade, just as another safe measure, we also run a rebuild on the file twice again, just to make sure there's no issues with the upgrade as well. So the other thing that we've talked about was printing. So the way that printing works is whatever you have selected on your local computer as your default printer. So in this case, I have Canon selected as my default printer. That is what would get redirected to the hosted desktop environment. So if I wanted to print, my printer is going to show up here when I try to print something. If you have other printers there, sometimes the redirection works with the Windows redirection, sometimes it does not. If you have a printer, and let's say I try to print to this and it doesn't work, okay? Or let's say I can print, but I'm only able to print Word documents or PDFs, but I'm not able to print paychecks or something like that. In that case, what we'll try to do is we'll try to go online and look at your manufacturer of your printer and see if we can find a driver for our server to make it more compatible. We'll try to install that driver if possible, and we'll see if we can get the printer to work. If it still doesn't work after that, at that time, then that would just mean that printer is not going to be compatible with the remote environment, and you would need to try a different printer. So after we got your file moved over, we would then help you get Outlook configured if needed, if you wanted to email out of QuickBooks. And then if you have any third-party programs, we can discuss it at that time too. If you have things that sync with QuickBooks, be it like, for an example, let's say like Transaction Importer or like Recur 360 or something like that. If you had something like that, then we would help you, get that connected to your file at that time also. Then once we're finished, what we would do after our call, and we would help at this time, we would help you set up, as many computers as you need set up, as many users. If you have users at different locations, we can schedule as needed to get everybody set up so everybody's on the same page. Then when we're finished, what we do is we send out a PDF with hosting instructions, and it has screenshots of everything that we've gone over. And then you have that to reference going forward if you had questions going to get in or whatnot. And then after that, as part of your hosting support, we're available to troubleshoot if you're having problems getting connected to a computer, if you get a new computer and you need that set up, or if you have a virus and your computer gets wiped out and you need to get it set up again or something like that. Or if you have a new employee come in or something like that, we can do that as well. Another service that we provide for a lot of the clients is towards the end of the year, around tax time, everybody wants their CPAs or accountants to have access to their file. And a lot of people don't like the inconvenience of an accountant's copy because you have to lock down your file and things like that. So one of the services we provide is at that time, if you want to, and if it's okay with your CPA, you can provide us their contact information. And what we'll do is we'll reach out to them to schedule a remote session like we work with you on, and we'll actually set it up on their computer so they can access your file directly. You guys would just need to communicate with each other when, whoever will be logged into the file, but we'll work with them to do that. And then the other thing that we're going to go over is, so now let's say we've been in QuickBooks working through the day, and now we're finished using QuickBooks. Okay? What you want to do in this environment, it's real easy, especially with this bar up here, to just click on this X. You can work back and forth between both environments, so you can minimize this. You could be logged into QuickBooks and still go on your local computer and go back and forth between environments. Now, but when you're done using QuickBooks, let's say it be a lunch period or at the end of the day or something like that, we'd prefer you to sign out rather than just staying logged into the server. What we don't ever want anybody to do is click on this X up here. And I'm going to show you why. So I'm going to leave this window right here open. I'm going to click on this X. And it's going to tell me I'm going to get disconnected. So it disconnects me and it closes out. So now let's say I'm going to go log back in and access my QuickBooks file again. So I'm going to go ahead and connect. Enter my password. If you'll notice, this window here in QuickBooks are still open, okay? And the problem with that is, especially with the way QuickBooks is, and especially if you are using multi-users or things like that, when you just click on this X here, there's still services and processes of QuickBooks running in the background that haven't, finished running completely. So what we want you to do is, if you can, try to close out of everything properly. But for sure, what we'd like you to do when you are finished is, rather than clicking on this X up here, you want to come to this Start menu here. I'm going to open this window here just for an example. Click on this user icon here and choose Sign Out. I'm going to choose Sign Out, and that's going to close everything that's running, and then it's going to disconnect me. Now when I go to log back in, you'll notice that that window has been closed and we're starting with a fresh session. So the Windows handles all of that when you do the sign out. So when you go in, you're not going to run in with any problems. And what can happen with multi-users, if you log in, you could have a frozen QuickBooks or the environment's just not responding to you. In that case, you would contact us to reset your user, which isn't the end of the world. It's just, this is what you would want to do to prevent that in that environment. But then, yeah, so then we would sign out, and for the most part, that is about it, unless anybody's got any questions about anything further. Or if you'd like to, if you have specific questions for, your business needs, I can schedule to do like a demo with you to see what you have on your computer, what works for you, and we can go over that too, just to see what's going on.
Thanks so much, Josh. We do have a couple of questions that have come in over the time that you've been chatting. And if there are any other questions, I do encourage the audience to send those over. So the first question I have is, who buys and owns the QuickBooks software when we're in the hosting environment here?
Yeah, okay, so that's a good question. So the QuickBooks software is going to be bought and owned by you, the client. So in order to be on QuickBooks in the environment, you have to own your own license of QuickBooks, be it Pro, Premier, Enterprise, and we can help you decide what version is right for you. But you need to own your license of the software in order to be on our environment. What that also means too is, let's say we're on our hosting environment and down the road you decided it just doesn't work for you, or you don't like it, or you have other business needs and things are going to change. You own that license of QuickBooks. So at any time you can go to QuickBooks website and you can download and install the version that you own with your license information and your account information that we use when purchasing for you.
Perfect.
And then you could install that on your local computer or your own server or whatever it may be.
Right. Excellent. Thank you, Josh. The next question is, can I use my QuickBooks accountant version of work to work on several companies and have two companies open at the same time in the hosting environment?
That's another good question. Yes, you can. So like we said, like you said, each client has to own their own license and their own version of QuickBooks. On our servers, we install QuickBooks Enterprise Accountant Edition, and we install for Pro Premier users QuickBooks Premier Accountant Edition. And we do that so exactly for the Accountant Editions, if people need that, they have that ability, and you can use all versions and you can have multiple files open as well.
Excellent. And then you touched on this a little bit at the beginning, but we had another question come in about it. So if I have a client, or if I'm a client and I have like 15 to 20 users that need to log into the same file, but I don't want to necessarily spend money for 20 users, what's the best option for me? Would I just make sure that they're coordinating to sign out so I can sign in, or what's the best option?
Yeah, okay, so if you have multiple users, what you would first need to step back and look at is, okay, out of these people, how many of them need to be logged in at the same time? And that's really the number you're going to want to go from. Now, at different times of the day, if that number is going to increase, well, whatever number you're going to need, where people are going to need to be logged in at the same time, that's the number of users you're going to need. Now, let's say you have 20 users, and 15 people are going to be logged in all the time, but let's say 5 people miscellaneous aren't going to be logged in all the time. What we'll do is help work with you to find out who's going to be logged in when, and then we would assign users the same user. So we would say, okay, so-and-so and so-and-so is user 1. They just need to make sure to communicate with each other when they're going to be in or not be in QuickBooks. Or you can have a schedule set up and assign users times where they can be or can't be in QuickBooks.
Perfect. Thank you. And then as far as the Microsoft suite that's on there with Excel and Word and Outlook, do we provide full support for those as well if people are having issues with any of those programs, or would the client need to contact Microsoft?
If there's issues, we do the licensing there, so we really don't run into issues. The things that people need to make sure to do is, like, let's say if you're emailing out of QuickBooks or if you're running reports, you want to make sure you have Outlook open and running in the background, or you have Excel open and running in the background. If there's issues where the software is failing and doing something, we'll look on our end, like if updates would be needed or if we would need to repair the software. We haven't really ever had any issues with Office on the server. As far as how to use the program within the program, we could offer consulting on that, but that would be billable time. But like as far as getting you set up for the first time so you can email out of QuickBooks or whatnot, that would be part of the setup.
Excellent. And I'm glad that you kind of touched on that a little bit, because I know something that really sets out-of-the-box technology apart from other hosting services that are out there is that we can really service all of your QuickBooks and really IT needs, right? I mean, we're not just setting up the environment and then if you have a QuickBooks question, you'll have to call into it. Or if you need an upgrade or an update on your Office suite, you'll have to go through Microsoft.
Right.
We really
a lot of times for the hosting, what'll happen is somebody already have contacted us for QuickBooks consulting to begin with, and then we show them what we can all do for them, and they decide hosting is something that works for them. So a lot of times what I end up doing is I'll end up working with the client to get their hosting set up, and then we do kind of like a nice warm handoff, to the QuickBooks consultant to say, hey, they're set up now, they're ready to be contacted to get their QuickBooks consulting taken care of, and then they can schedule that with you as well.
Right, which is just great to have everything all under one roof, essentially, proverbial roof, right? That we can really service all of those needs. So I think that's really a huge thing that sets us apart in the industry. The next question that we have is about charging for QuickBooks consulting, which is a little bit beyond, I think, as I just started reading it, for the hosting side of it. So I will touch base with this individual offline. Sorry, that was a little out of the realm of hosting. But yeah, if there's any other questions, again, go ahead and chat those over as we start to close out here. I want to thank you, Josh, so much for joining us today. This was really insightful. I know we've had a lot of interest lately with hosting as a lot of companies really start to go more remote and not have everyone, in an office even. It just makes it easier to all be working out of the same files when you're in different places or if you're traveling. I know me personally, if I'm traveling to an event, I know I can still go into the remote desktop and access all the same files that I would if I was sitting in the office. So it's really a great option, providing a lot of flexibility. And I know that the team we have here for support are phenomenal. We just really appreciate you, Josh, and your team. So thank you for taking time today and going through all of this.
Yeah, and if anybody has questions after they think about things for a while too, let us know.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and take things back here and share my screen again. I just wanted to touch on some upcoming webinars that we have in the next month or so. Again, we're really excited that these have been really taking off this year in 2019. We've been doing them every week. So next week we have Avalara coming on to do a presentation with us. And then to kick off May, we will be doing our Recur 360 quarterly update, just talking about what's new with Recur 360 since we last talked about updates back in February, I think is when we did the last update. And then Sharon Horger, our bookkeeping manager, will be on with us May 14th to talk about our bookkeeping services. And then we're going to talk about this signature manager that is a really cool tool within Outlook to manage signatures across your organization. I know we use it here and it just makes things so much easier and streamlined and efficient when it comes to consistency in your emails. So we hope you can join us for those. If you wanted to dive deeper with Josh on hosting, you can email us. Either send me an email personally, my email's on the screen, or just email customercare@ootbtechnology.com or sales. And we will definitely get you in touch and make sure that you have your questions addressed or a personal one-on-one demo. If you have a topic that you want to hear about, want us to find an expert on, also send me an email and we'd be happy to put together a Technology Tuesday on the topic you're looking for. So thanks to everyone who joined us here today. We appreciate your time. As always, this session is recorded and will be posted to the website shortly, and you'll receive an email with a link to that so you can watch it back and just pick up any other nuggets that you may have missed. So thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.